Actually, it's more like 118. You try it out and you will find it so too. The you here, this is indicating that the wife of Bath is speaking to the audience, who is listening to her right now. Okay. Now, I've color-coded here line 127. Remember Midas? Will you hear the tale? So she's, I guess she's trying to pad her submission here for the storytelling contest because she inserts a story within her story. And she tells the tale of Midas, who was a Greek king. This is an allusion, and it comes from Ovid, Greek mythology. And he told his wife a secret. And the wife doesn't think she can keep it. And she tries to tell the secret here. And I've color-coded it in pink. Okay? But then she tells her secret to the water because she thinks, that no one will be able to hear it. But the rest of the tale, the whole point of this tale is that no, women cannot keep secrets. And it's not a bad story. And just as she said with Ptolemy, go ahead, go read Ovid for his story, and he will tell it, the rest of it. And there is a whole story about the husband having a pair of donkey's ears. But back to the original. After her segue, line 159, she returns back to the tale of the knight. Okay, so we have the year is up. The knight does not find his answer. He's coming along home, and marked here in yellow, we have an example of the pagan dance. So if you remember the fairies from the opening, of the story, this is a reference back to that. Now I've marked in green this reference to the old woman, and her, as she speaks with the conversation, she's continued to be marked in green, and then I've kept the knight marked in purple. With the color coding so that you again can follow the conversation. And we have, just like we did with the opening, we have the old woman seems to talk more than the knight does. Okay? And she says to him, well, I will give you the answer if you swear to do whatever I ask you to do. And of course he promises, sure, I agree to it. Okay? And so she whispers in his ear. We get a little bit of cliffhanger, foreshadowing, lines 197. She whispers in his ear, and then he heads on to court in full array, okay, to go stand before the queen and give her his answer, which we have marked again in purple up here, okay? So we have them getting ready to listen. This is just from lines 203 on down to 212. Is just, a description of what's happening with the action as the knight stands before the queen and gives her the answer that a woman wants the same sovereignty over her husband as over her lover, and master him, he must not be above her. So pretty much, women want to wear the pants of the family. They want to be able to rule the roost. And we can see from the reaction in line 219 through 221 that he's got it right, and the court agrees that, wow, he saved his life. And then the old woman, wanting to make sure that the knight does not renege on his bargain of agreeing to do whatever she asks, she reminds him, and has it in front of the queen to witness that here is her payment that she wants. She told him the answer, and now what she wants in return is for him to marry her. Now, women were not allowed to pick their husbands. So here's the old crone gets to pick who she wants to marry, and she wants to have a nice, hot, young knight. So could this be an example of the first cougar? Potentially. Okay. Now, we also have the knight, though, is not very interested when he says, take all my goods, but leave my body free. He is not interested in sleeping with the old lady. And she says, well, whatever. You will be my love, and this is what should happen. And so he's forced to wed, and, they have a description of their wedding day here. It was quite a short ceremony, was not much frivolity and partying going on. He married her in private the very next day and stayed hidden because he just was so embarrassed by his his old, foul-looking wife. Okay, and when it came time for them to go to bed, oh dear, and consummate the marriage, he definitely was not very interested. So returning to the color coding, I have marked the old lady's conversation in green and the knight's responses in purple. Now, she asks him, well, what's wrong? Why won't you want to marry me? And again, we're going to use the quotation marks as cues to who's speaking when. And pretty much it's what do men want? They want to have hot wives or hot women. You know, they judge everything by looks. And he says, well, you're so old. You're abominably plain. In other words, ugly. You're poor. You have no money. And you're low bred, meaning you have no royalty in you. You're not high on the social scale. So, dear Lord, this is not a good match for me. And of course, I'm going to be sad. Well, then now she refutes each one of his claims. And starting at line 280, we're going to go all the way to 395, where she refutes him and argues with him. Well, you say gentle birth and I'm not of royalty. Well, then here's all these claims of folks who want about really what does it matter if you're born highborn or not, okay? And again, we also see with the allusions to the Florentines, to Dante, we have this definite emphasis that the, educated, she knows she's well read, okay? She's definitely showing her intelligence as well, okay? And we have lots and lots of examples as we continue here, okay? And she says, you're no gentleman, though duke or earl. Vice and bad manners are what make a churl. So really, what makes a gentleman versus a gentleman? Like really, you could be low-born and still have very good manners. And you could be high-born and be, recognized as royalty, yet, you're not very noble. You don't act well. Okay, which again, how did this whole story start? With the knight raping a maiden. So how noble is he? He's not chivalrous at all. We have some more allusions here with Valerius, Tullius Hostilius, Boethius, Seneca. These are all, old ancient Latin writers. So again, she's well read. She now refutes, getting down here, the claim of poverty. Well, I'm poor. Well, what really makes a rich life? Money can't buy you happiness. So he who accepts his poverty unhurt, I'd say is rich, although he'd lack a shirt. But truly poor are those who whine and fret and covet what they cannot hope to get. So pretty much this is saying, like, if you're always, you're dissatisfied in life, like you can't be happy, well, then you're always going to be poor because it's not money that determines your happiness. Okay, and we have another one, Juvenal. It says, the poor can dance and sing in the relief of having nothing that will tempt a thief. So, yeah, poor people shouldn't have much to worry about because no one's going to take their stuff. So here she is using a very good technique to make a substantive case. She's using research. She's using logical arguments to support her claims and to argue against him, okay? Lastly, she talks about being old and how, old age should be respected. So now she gives him another choice. And she's, well, here you have an option. You can choose to have an old wife who's old and ugly but very faithful. Or you can have a young but beautiful, pretty wife, but then always wonder, gee, where your friends will visit you because of me, like your friends come to see me, so am I being adulterous or not? Like you will always wonder. You can never be secure in our relationship. So which would you rather have? A pretty wife? An old, or an old and ugly one who is very faithful? Okay, and I've marked this in yellow despite it being the old crone talking because this is just an important piece. And the knight says, well, my lady, my love, my dearest wife, I leave the matter to your decision. You make the choice yourself for the provision of what may be agreeable and rich and honor us both. I don't care which. Whatever pleases you suffices me. So pretty much this is showing that the knight has learned his lesson from the quest. He applies what he learned to, okay, happy wife equals happy life. And she says, oh, really? That's wonderful. She's like, are you sure you let me choose? And he says, certainly, wife, that's it. Like he's just conceded and given up. And now because of that, she does reward him with, he will have both a fair and faithful wife as a reward for learning his lesson. And I've marked her words in green here. And indeed, we have at the end of line 425, she says, well, look upon me and you will see that, yeah, I am definitely hot. I'm not the old lady. And here we have 425 on down to 430 is they lived happily ever after. She was young and lovely, rich in charms. In ecstasy, he caught her in his arms, and then they went and, consummated the marriage. So, yeah, dirty, dirty stuff. And then we have the ending here. It is, again, the reiteration of the moral of the tale is happy wife equals happy life. And, let the women rule the marriage. And for those that won't give in, well, let them just essentially go to hell. All right, so pretty much when you take a look at a side-by-side of the Knight's Tale and the Wife's of Bath's Tale, the two tales that we have looked at so far from Canterbury Tales. In the Knight's Tale, we looked at how do we get love, possessing someone else and fighting over it in the end, and through death you get love, with our story of Palamon and Arcite and Emily. And then when you take a look at the Wife of Bath's Tale, we have how do we get love and happiness, but it's by pleasing someone else and having a partnership, but also, allowing the other person to have a say in what's happening. Okay, so think about this, because really, again, the understanding is that the Canterbury Tales is supposed to be this road trip story. It's a storytelling contest. But Chaucer, as an author, his purpose with this is more than just to entertain his audience with interesting tales. His purpose is to criticize society and to instruct his audience on how to live a better life. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to post and let me know, and I will gladly help you out.